I think the biggest thing is that a lot of people just ignore it. So they don't even bother trying to get started because they think either it won't help them, they don't quite understand how much of a difference it can make to their business, or they just get stuck in confusion and overwhelm. So they don't even put the basics in place of making sure that the fundamental thing that you do, that Google understands that that's what your website is all about.
SEO, or search engine optimization, isn't getting the amount of attention it used to. The early days of e-commerce was all about keywords and being top ranked in Google search. As dynamic new marketing options were rolled out, SEO became out of sight and out of mind. However, online marketing experts are now saying that by overlooking this core part of the digital ecosystem, companies could be leaving money on the table. I'm Jane Singer, and welcome back to A Seat at the Table, where we sit down with industry experts and innovators so that we can gain insights that will help us grow our businesses. Today, we're joined by Jules White, founder of Success Hub, which specializes in helping companies and entrepreneurs optimize their websites so that they can connect with customers who are searching for the products and services that they're selling. In this episode, Jules will be discussing the critical reason why everyone should get SEO right for their website, key areas that sites need to optimize in order to get better search results, and what companies misunderstand about how to optimize their websites in a competitive market. Jules, thank you so much for joining us on A Seat at the Table. I'm really excited to talk to you today. SEO and just building websites that convert has really become absolutely vital for any business, even businesses that have a lot of things where they are interacting one-on-one with customers. That website is becoming increasingly important to at least get people into your universe or into your funnel or whatever you want to call it. So thank you for being here today.
Oh, thank you for having me here. It's lovely to be here.
So I think that maybe we can start with the sort of the elephant in the room, which is maybe address what you feel, having worked with so many clients over the years. What do people typically either misunderstand or just don't get at all regarding SEO, right? Which is search engine optimization, when they're looking to get their website set up and add content.
So yeah, I think the big thing, well, obviously search engine optimization is getting seen on Google and other search engines. And I think that's part of it, that people don't even know what SEO means or stands for or understand how it can actually help their business. I think the biggest thing is that a lot of people just ignore it. So they don't even bother trying to get started because they think either it won't help them, they don't quite understand how much of a difference it can make to their business, or they just get stuck in confusion and overwhelm. So they don't even put the basics in place of making sure that the fundamental thing that you do, that Google understands that that's what your website is all about. So I think that would probably be the biggest thing, is just not even trying. Which
Right.
sounds like, when you don't understand what it's all about, then it's hard to get started. But there are so many simple things, and I'm a firm believer in it doesn't have to be difficult. SEO can be very technical, and there's lots of technical things that you can do. But when I'm working with my clients, we tend to be just putting the foundations in place, really, and making sure the basics are there.
Yeah, I think that's really important because you're right. You look at something and it just seems so confusing that you don't know where to get started. And since you don't know where to get started, you don't get started, right? You just kick
Yeah.
that can down the road. I'm guilty of the same thing myself.
Yeah.
And it's important to have somebody who can say, okay, well, this is step number one, at least get you on the path and point you in the right direction. Now,
Absolutely. Yeah.
if you're talking to somebody, what would be the first, what would be sort of like step one, right? Just the initial getting started.
So it would be making sure that your main pages on your website are optimized for Google to be able to understand them. So things like your homepage, your about page, and your contact us page, those are the pages that Google look for in every website, to know that this is a business, it's a genuine business that exists. So making sure that the fundamentals in those pages are in place can make a big difference. And there's a few things that people tend to, if people do start with SEO, then they do a few things that people typically get wrong. So make things like, if they've got a website platform, lots of website platforms have a box that says keywords. and people would just put the keywords in there and think that that's it, and that they think that Google's going to understand that, or it's going to that's going to work for them. Whereas actually what you need to do is optimize the page. So there's certain places, there's about 10 places on your page where you can put the particular keyword, and keywords are the things that people are typing into Google that lead them to your website. So we say keywords, but they can actually be key phrases. So a keyword doesn't have to be a one word thing. And generally we would say to try and go for keywords that are more than 2 words, because there's going to be less competition out there. You know, if you're just searching for a very, very broad term, yes, there might be lots of people each month searching for it, but there's also going to be loads and loads of competition. So yeah, that would be one mistake, is just putting that keyword in a box and thinking that's it, done. Whereas what you actually want to do is scatter that phrase throughout the page, and also use it in specific pages, because the way that SEO works is Google's little robots go out and read individual web pages. So they don't treat the website as a whole. Each individual page goes into Google's index so Google is basically just like a big filing cabinet, and it needs to know where to put your website. So it goes through and it will read the keywords, and if they're in the right places in the page, Google can essentially understand what that page is about.
I think that was quite interesting, and I would not have thought about that myself, even though I have my hands in 2 websites. But if it's not something that you work on, if it's not the top of mind of what you do every day, I mean, people have so many things they're trying to keep in mind about their core business, that to try to be an expert on websites, which have become increasingly complex in terms of what you need to do, as you're pointing out, to optimize them, you don't really know that. And you just can't sit there and read every article on it or watch every video or course to try to understand it. You really need to work with somebody like yourself who knows that and who can sort of get you up to speed fast, or at least, get you moving in the right direction. I think that's really helpful to know that.
I think probably as well getting some foundations in place in terms of your understanding, because as you say, going and trying to read and trying to teach yourself SEO is really, really tricky, because whenever you look at, if you're Googling things about SEO, generally a lot of the information out there is very, very technical, and it's stuff you don't need to know. If you're a business owner just trying to get the basics of your website to show up on Google and connect with some customers through it, you don't need to know the ins and outs in SEO, but you do need to know some basic things, especially if you're creating lots of content yourself. You need to know, as you're creating that content, how to avoid the big mistakes, really.
What do you see as the big mistakes?
So I think definitely, using the keyword box, that would be a big one, but not all platforms, and platforms are moving away from that now. And it's something that is a bit of a sort of, they used to call it black hat SEO, where you just basically stuff your keywords in the whole page and hope that would show up on Google. And it used to work.
Right.
But now, because the bots are so much cleverer, and with AI and everything, things are changing. And the way that we search for things are changing as well. And who knows what will happen even a year from now. Things could be completely different with how we search. But Google still needs to be able to go through and read that information. So I would definitely say doing that, rather than, as I say, scattering it through the pages, but also using it in the key places, like the part of your website at the top where you have your hero section, and you normally have one headline there, that big headline that grabs people's attention when they come onto your page. If that's marked as a H1 heading, and if you're building a website in a platform, any kind of website platform, you'll see that you have the option of different headings. And people tend to use those for styling. They'll tend to use it for if they want to make it look pretty. But it's actually more important to use that to tell Google about the page. So the H1 heading is one of the most important places that you need to put your keyword in the page. Also, things like your meta description or page description and the page title. So the place on your little Google tabs at the top of the screen, when you've got lots of tabs open, that is your title, and that should have your keyword in there as well. And then places, but essentially one of the things they get wrong is not using it in the right places throughout the page. Also trying to rank all of their pages for the same keyword as well. So it's quite difficult sometimes, especially if your pages aren't very distinct in terms of being different, and your whole website is talking about what you do. But it's finding ways to rank each page for an individual keyword, and then linking those pages together so that it keeps people on your site for longer, but you're not competing against your own pages.
Right.
And then probably the third one is thinking about how you would describe your services versus how your clients would be looking for them. So we tend to talk about what we do and maybe in a little bit more technical terms than our clients would actually be searching for, but you've got to put yourself in those clients' minds and what would they be typing into Google to look for your services, and that could be completely different to how you would describe yourself. But that's the really important part, is actually making sure that you're using language that your clients would search for. Otherwise you're just not going to show up in searches because people aren't searching for the technical terms.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really good point. And it's something that is easier said than done, particularly if you're not a copywriter or a good writer, by nature, to try to think to yourself, I work in this, so I know the phrases that I would use, but how would somebody who doesn't work in this but wants this service or this product, what would they put in? And that's actually more challenging than it seems. It seems easy when you sit down to do it for yourself. I
Absolutely.
struggled with that too.
Yeah, so sometimes having somebody help you and guide you along the way can save you months and months of effort, because just having somebody say, oh well, actually, would somebody be typing for, looking for that? I work with a lot of wellness coaches, and things like working with menopause coaches who are calling themselves menopause coaches, but what their clients are actually looking for is a problem to their solution. They're looking for, why can't I sleep? Why am I
Right,
having hot
right.
flashes, and those kind of things. And actually just having somebody remind you of that, I think, is just so, I love that when I see the light bulb moment in my clients' eyes of, oh yeah, that's what we need to be talking about.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, that is, I'm a big believer in getting people to help you with things, and that investing in hiring the right people, not just anybody, but if you can find somebody with expertise. We often don't think about that. But it's actually, in a world where so many of the things that we have to do are very complex, and they're things that it's not that you don't want to learn. I mean, I love learning new things, but even I've had to rein myself in and say, Jane, how often are you going to be doing this? Are you spending a ridiculous amount of time learning to do something that you're going to have to do once to get a website set up, right? And you're never going to have to do it again. So why are you not filing that support ticket on the website? Because you know me, I'd rather just kill myself and figure it out. I don't want to admit defeat and send in that support ticket when it's something I could just read one more article about how you do that. And then finally,
and we beat ourselves up for even needing to read an article. I think it's terrible how we would never, if in the thing that we actually do in our business, we would never just go out and like, oh, I'm just going to do it. But
right.
actually we feel like these things behind the scenes, that we should automatically know how to do them. And I think we do. We really beat ourselves up around it. Whereas actually, you don't know everything. So focus on the things that are going to help you to earn money and get people through the door first and foremost, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, moving on from being able to use SEO to get people to your site, which is obviously a massive hurdle that people have to overcome, easier said than done in a very competitive market. Now you have people to your site. You have to be able to convert them, right? You have to be able to, in some way, get them to start interacting with you. And then end goal is to get a sale or turn them into a client. So how do you then do that?
So I think, I mean, it's a massive topic in terms of actually getting people to convert. And again, it's another thing that once you get to a certain point in your business, then it's good to invest with somebody to actually get them to help you with that. I'm a massive fan of Donald Miller, and he teaches that within, I think he says 5 seconds. I'm sure that's even less than that now. We basically need to tell people what we do in very plain language, how it's going to make their lives better, and how they can get it. So we need to, again, coming back to making sure that we're using the language that the clients would be talking about their problems, and moving them away from their problems or towards their desires. So rather than talking about you get this and this, or this is how it works, it's essentially you're bringing them into the lifestyle that they want to be in, or the solution to their problem that you're solving. You talk about the problems, making sure that you've also got ways for them to get it very quickly. So having call to action, so buttons that talk about the specific thing that they're going to do. So sign up right now to get this amazing solution. have that dotted throughout your page. So don't make them hunt anywhere for how to actually get it. Making sure you've got testimonials throughout your page as well. So other people are have bought this and absolutely love it. And when you're using those testimonials, make sure they're broken down, because people do skim read. Yes, long form sales pages are proven to be more likely to convert, but there are lots and lots of people, and I certainly would include myself in that, of skim readers. So we need to make sure that we've not got walls of text, we've not got massive paragraphs, not got sentences where people have to take a breath mid-sentence to read it, because they just won't do it. So the same
Right.
with your testimonials, making sure that you've got a little heading for the testimonial, and then it's short and sweet. And even if you're breaking that testimonial up and using it in different places throughout your website, it's much better to do that rather than having one long testimonial that is kind of a bit wasted. And also sometimes people put them behind carousels and things, and it's so valuable to your website to have testimonials that I would say don't do that. People don't scroll through in general unless they are yeah, I just don't think people will do it. I think you want to have that information there where it pops out at people. And then using things like analytics. So using Google Analytics to see how the pages are performing, see what pages people are coming onto, and then just going off straight away. And if that's one of your important money pages, then make sure that you are optimizing those. So making sure you're looking at how that page is actually performing.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. We don't think about on a granular level, like per page.
Yes, yeah, that's really important though, because as I say, that's how the Google doesn't rank websites, it ranks web pages. So.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a really important thing to pull out, because we do think that they rank a website. You have certain, as you're pointing out, keywords that will get people to your site. But I think that, yes, there is definitely the importance, as you're saying, of understanding that really you're fighting it out page by page, not site by
Yeah.
site, for people's
Yeah.
attention.
Yeah, and there are things to consider with the site, because Google you have something called page authority and site authority. So page authority is how each individual page is seen by Google in terms of how it's ranked. But then you also have domain authority, and that's where if you're building up more content that links together and you've got links coming in from externally as well, that's where you build up your domain authority. So you become an authority on that particular topic. So even though Google is ranking individual pages, as you get more and more pages that do well, then the whole of your domain will raise in its authority as well.
Interesting. So really the site is sort of the cumulative ranking of all the pages on the site.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it, actually, and thinking of it like that. Definitely, yeah.
And then in terms of having the backlinks to other sites, that you say helps. So in other words, if you have an article and you're referencing multiple other sites and you link to that other site, rather than linking to other pages on your site, you feel that those external links are more valuable.
So the where the value will be is the links that are coming into your website. So if you can do
People
things
linking
like
to you.
yeah, absolutely. If you can do things like guest blogging, or anybody else comes in and finds your article and they link back to it, especially if they've got a very authoritative site, they've got good domain authority, then that's where the value comes. But actually those internal links are really important as well. So making sure that helps to keep people on your site for longer, because if you've got one article that then links them into something else, it's helping the user to realize that you're more of an authority, but also so that then Google understands that this page is linked to this page, and that people enjoy that content, because ultimately Google wants to deliver the right solution for what people are typing in. That's their whole mission, is they want to deliver entertaining, authoritative, and trustworthy solutions for their customers.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think that they're sort of struggling a bit at the moment because there's controversy about how many ads they show when you do a Google search. I've heard some backlash about the fact that it's like, you go in and search for something and the first page is all, sort of sponsored. I don't know what you'd call it, what the technical word is for. People are saying the search results that are coming back are not what they used to be. Google better rethink
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I think that is a challenge for Google, actually. And I've certainly said that, or seen that myself, that I will now be more likely to click through to page two. And as I say, the way things that are happening with search is changing, definitely. And that's one of the things that I will talk through with my clients when we're doing a strategy day. I'll do a quick talk through of the search results page and how it all works and which bits mean more. And that's one thing I've been quite surprised about with my clients, of how helpful they've found that, actually, of this is how the search page works. And this is why you want to show up in position one, because there's this one slot in between the ads and in between the maps and the frequently asked questions. And that's where you want to be. So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Jules, how did you get into becoming an expert in SEO?
well, it's a very different background for me. So my background is a beauty and holistic therapist. So that was my career up until 2021. But I've always been, every salon I've worked at, I've always been involved in the marketing. So I built my first website back in 2007. And in 2020, in January 2020, I knew there was something more. I knew I needed to make a change, but didn't necessarily know what the route out of being in the salon would be, to be honest with you. And then COVID hit, obviously, and I had a chance to pause. And I'd never had a break in my career, but just having that time off helped me. I suddenly realized all these amazing online businesses that were out there. So I took some time to learn how to build websites properly. And when I left my job in December 2021, I thought I was going to be building websites, but what I quickly realized is what I actually love doing is looking at other people's websites and working out, or helping them work out, how to make it better. I've realized very quickly I'm not a designer, and a blank page is not my forte. I love looking at something and telling you what to do to make it better. And a couple of months after I left my job, I realized I was still an admin on the salon's Google business profile. And I was looking at the stats, and it said that they'd had something like 3,000 views that month on their business profile. And this is an independent salon, high street salon. And it was a bit of a light bulb moment for me. So I was just like, wow, that's incredible. And that, what I now realize, having more experience, is that 3,000 isn't 3,000 people's eyes on the site. It's 3,000 times showing up on Google, but still 3,000, it was amazing. And so I started building and helping people with their Google business profiles. And that was how I got into SEO. And it was just sort of a natural development between that and working with my clients on their websites, that I sort of made that move for more into working on SEO. But what I noticed was how difficult it is and can be, and it doesn't need to be, as I've said before, it doesn't need to be difficult. And that was the big thing that I wanted to help my clients with just cutting through that overwhelm and helping them to get the basics in place so that they have a chance of actually ranking on Google and not missing out. Because I think that's the thing, is that there's a stat, I can't remember the exact stat now, but it's basically that something like 90, I can't remember the stat, but it's 90 something percent of websites never get any traffic coming from Google. What that essentially means is that most people aren't doing anything around their SEO. So if you can just be that business that is, and just put those small foundations in place, then it's not as difficult as it has to be, or as it seems to be, to actually get some results and to start showing up on Google.
Wow, that's so interesting.
It's been a real journey, actually, and going from literally being with people all day long and working in the salon. One of the biggest things that I've found is that the networking that I've done and the groups that I've joined and the co-working sessions that I join are amazing, because it's just helped me to connect with so many amazing people. And I think that's been the biggest thing I've learned, is that you need to get out and connect with people. And there's amazing businesses out there, and amazing women and men out there that working. And yeah, that's been the big thing, really, I think, for me.
Yeah, I think that's fabulous. I have learned so much just from this brief conversation, and really, it's eye-opening, even for someone like myself who loves technology and who's had her hands, like I said, in the clay, and building 2 websites. But there's a vast sea of information that I don't know, and certainly you have tremendous insights. So I want to thank you so much for joining us here today, Jules. I think everybody listening has really gotten a huge eye opener as to what we need to do.
Oh, thank you. It's been lovely to be here. And I think one thing I would add as well is that I've felt like that myself, and I'm very techie, but I still find things that completely overwhelm me, and I get so frustrated with the lack of information out there, or the lack of clear information out there. So I feel like that myself sometimes as well, and I'm, again, very techie. So
Yeah, absolutely. Now, how can people find you? I think a lot of people who are listening to this would want to reach out to you. They probably have their own questions. They'd like to be able to connect with you one on one. How can people find you?
Yeah, so best places to connect with me, I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn, or visit my website, the website successhub.com. I work with clients one to one, and I also have a DIY SEO membership as well, which is really helpful for my clients. So basically, they put their website in and it tells them step by step what to do to make it better. So yeah, I'd love to connect with people. If they have any questions, then yeah, connect with me. I'd love to connect.
Well, fabulous. I'm going to make sure that all of your links are in the show notes, in the comments section, so people will be able to find you. And I would encourage everyone who's listening to this and who has a website and you want to really, go after it for real, connect with Jules. It'll be worth it.
Thank you so much, Jane. It's been lovely to be here.
Yeah, thank you for joining us.